morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to talk about an unexpected deck which is making waves over in Japan. It's Hydrapple EX. And apparently Hydrapple EX is legit. Now, if we take a look at this tier list, which has been made by Pokémon_book over on Twitter, you can see that Hydrapple is a tier 3 deck. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not up there as a top deck, and I'm not pretending it is. Charizard and Dragapult are up in the top tier, and then you've got Palkia, which I did a video on the other day to explain why that's so good nowadays. You've got your Raging Bolt, your Gardevoir, and your Regidrago. Those are your kind of top 2 tiers of decks. We've talked about all those before. What we have not talked about, however, is Hydrapple EX. And look, I'm not pretending that a tier 3 deck is the best deck in the format. But I absolutely am telling you that a tier 3 deck is a legit deck with a lot of wins under its belt. We are not talking here about a fringe deck which has done well in a silly tournament. Like I talked about that Comfey the other day. I love that Comfey. It is one of the coolest, weirdest, silliest decks I've seen in a long time. But I was also pretty honest when I showed you that Comfey as a winning deck, that this was a cool little thing that went and won a tournament, was probably not actually particularly great, but was a really fun thing to try and it's a fun new deck to have a play with. And had gone and won a tournament. Top tier deck? No. But potentially actually viable, incredibly fun deck? Oh my goodness, yes. Hydrapple exists elsewhere. Hydrapple is a legit deck we need to take seriously. So let's have a little bit of a gander, and then as always I'll show you a bunch of lists at the end of the video. So it really is a Hydrapple deck. Hydrapple's got 2 things going for it, and since the lovely T0 special illustration rare has been revealed in English, we can have a look at it in English. We got the ability Ripening Charge. It says once during your turn, you can attach a basic grass energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon, and if you did, heal 30 from them. And then 2 energy minimum, 30 damage, plus 30 more for each grass energy attached to all of your Pokemon. Very important because it means if Hydrapple does get KO'd, you in theory only lose 2 energy, and we can move on from there. Love it. Good attack if you get enough energy on the board, and a way to get energy on the board. What is the big partner here? And this is very, very important. It is, of course, Teal Mask Ogerpon. Teal Mask Ogerpon is a very, very, very big deal, because it lets you attach an energy to it once per turn per Ogerpon. So that's potentially up to 4 extra energy per turn. And when you do, you get to draw a card. So you get a lot more energy on the board, which fuels your attack, while also drawing cards, which is wonderful. Great, great card. And these are the 2 main Pokemon in the deck, because after then, people cannot decide how to play this. People have no real idea how this needs to be played, but I will tell you that a couple of lists that I am going to be showing you actually use Lilligant V-Star. A card that a lot of people, or a Suian Lilligant V-Star I should say, that a lot of people have tried to make work and it's never been that good. But we got a V-Star Power Star Perfume. During your turn you may search a deck for up to 5 in total of any combination of grass Pokemon and grass energy and put them into your hand. It's not a great V-Star Power as far as it goes, but in a grass deck that isn't using any other V-Star Power, yeah, that'll do very nicely. The attack, free energy, 130, and put an energy from this Pokemon into your hand if you do 100 more. Free energy, 230 is fine, but that's not and you can get it rolling with Hydrapple more easily. It's not really the point here. The point here is the ability, or the V-Star Power. But of the 4 lists I'm going to show you, 2 of them played this, and I think that's pretty interesting. But there are a bunch of other options. We've got the single prize Teal Mask Ogerpon, which sees a play in some of these decks, because for 2 energy it does 20 damage plus 20 more for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Best case scenario, it does 120, and with Hydrapple it's essentially a single energy attacker, because Hydrapple will just attach an energy attached for turn and you're rolling. But remember, I keep telling you lately about all of these decks that are using Area Zero Underdepths to be really good. Well, yeah, this is a really good card against those decks. Because if they've got 8 bench Pokemon, you're doing 180 for 2 energy, and that is absolutely absurd. We see some of the decks here are playing Toedscruel, but even the decks that are playing Toedscruel cannot make up their mind as to which Toedscruel they actually want to play. Because you see, first of all, you've got Toedscruel EX. Decent little card. What this does is it prevents all effective attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to all of your Pokemon with any energy attached. And bearing in mind that the nature of this deck is that you're going to have energy attached like all of your Pokemon. That's literally the point. You're trying to get lots of energy spread around the board so you can hit hard with Hydrapple. So we are expecting to have a lot of energy on the board. We're expecting to have basically all of our Pokemon with energy on. So yeah, this will do. It also does 2 energy, 80 damage, plus 40 more for each of your bench Pokemon with grass energy attached. In theory, we'll do 280 for 2 energy, which is not terrible. So actually a pretty good attacker as well. Although I'm assuming it's the ability we're mostly going for here. Stops energy being removed, stops special conditions, stops instant KOs, etc. But it's quite nice in that regard. But then some lists are instead playing the other Toedscruel, the one with Slime Mold Colony, has the amazing alternate art illustration rare in Paradox Rift. It's the only Toedscruel with an ability other than the EX. And it says that cards in your opponent's discard pile cannot be put into their hand by effects of your opponent's abilities or trainer cards, which is really, 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 really good against control decks. So it gives you a nice little option there. And, we're already playing around with a bunch of grass Pokemon, etc. Why not play a thin line of this to help you against control? That seems fairly sensible. The other thing I do see a little bit of play here with is Cornerstone Mask, very much as a tech. Because, lists I'm seeing are playing like a single fighting energy. So let's not pretend it's a major part of the deck. But again, Hydrapple will get this rolling much more easily because it's 2 colorless, 1 colored energy. And it just has immunity from Pokemon with an ability. Doesn't take damage. It's alright. It's a nice little tech. But you'll see here the point of this deck is that you've got Hydrapple and Tealmask Gogapon. That's basically rolling along nicely. And then you can add in a bunch of other tricks as you like. Oh, Tealmask Gogapon's attack, by the way, is 30 damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon plus 30 base. I think Hydrapple a lot of the time will do more damage, but this is actually really good for punishing your opponent if they've got a bunch of energy on. Now, one card which is really important here that you will see, there's not much these decks tend to agree on, but one we see as a 4 of in everything is Bug Catching Set. Bug Catching Set is phenomenal. Not generally as a card, in most of the time it's actually pretty bad. But in this particular deck, it is phenomenal. Because what it allows you to do is look at the top 7 cards of your deck and find 2 grass energy and grass Pokemon that are basics and whack them into your hand. But of course here, you need lots of grass energy. Hydrapple attaches from your hand. And Tealmask Gogapon attaches from your hand. So you need to get all the energy into your hand. Bug Catching Set is a great way of getting the energy into your hand in the first place. So it is an absolute no-brainer auto-include 4 of in every deck. Because why would you not? Also, energy retrieval, getting 2 cards into your hand. Basic energy from your discard pile, very good. And we even see some of the lists here playing superior energy retrieval, which gets 4 energy cards back. Now you have to discard 2 cards from your hand, but you're attaching like many energy from your hand. If you play superior energy retrieval, you've probably got 4 cards you can attach straight away. And in terms of energy, I'm seeing a minimum of 14. 14 to 16 basic energy is generally what we're seeing here. We are not mucking about. This is a deck that plays a lot of energy and goes nuts attaching it. Now, the last thing we need to talk about here is the ACE SPEC, because shockingly enough, these decks cannot agree. I'm going to show you 4 lists in a minute. They've all got different ACE SPECs. Scoop Up Cyclone. Nice little one that just lets you pick up one of your Pokemon. Really nice for healing a Pokemon that may be about to be KO'd. But also if you pick up something like a Teal Mask Ogerpon, you can attach another energy and draw another card. Or you can use Hydrapple to attach an energy and then pick it up, evolve a Diplin with the Hydrapple you just put into your hand, and then use the ability again, for instance. Or just heal to save yourself. Either way, it's good. Or we can go using Reset Stamp here. Reset Stamp, always a fun option. Your opponent takes a prize, and then you put them down to a 2-card hand. It's a bit of a setup deck. It can take a couple of turns to get all the energy you need onto the field. So being able to actually get this rolling while your opponent's got a small hand and is struggling for a couple of turns seems like an advantage. Or maybe you want to go for Legacy Energy. It's any energy, so it totally counts as a grass energy for both Hydrapple and Teal Mask Ogerpon attacks. But it also means you give up one less prize if you are KO'd, which of course can swing the prize trade in your favor and is brilliant. Or maybe you just go a bit basic and you go for Prime Catcher. Little bit predictable at this point, but it's gusting and lets you KO a Pokemon on the bench while also being a switch. It's awesome. Here's list number 1. This has your single prize Ogerpon with your Cornerstone Mask. Very nice. And this is one playing Scoop Up Cyclone. You'll also notice Radiant Greninja there. Just for fun. Can't attack, it's just there as a draw engine. Then, of course, we've got the second list. Now, this one is playing Lilligant V-Star, and that is literally it. You've got one Gardenia's Vigor to accelerate 2 energy, but you're honestly accelerating enough here. It's not a card we see very often. And this is playing Reset Stamp. Then we go to the third list here. We've got your Toedscruel EX being played with this one, and this one is playing Legacy Energy. Plus, this is, I believe, the only one playing Superior Energy Retrieval. Get all that energy back. Sounds like a plan. And here's the fourth list that's playing Lilligant V-Star, but then also playing the Toedscruel, which helps against control, while also playing Prime Catcher as your ACE SPEC of choice. People really cannot decide on the best way to play Hydrapple, Teal Mask Ogerpon right now. And I do think that might be one of the reasons it's a tier 3 deck. I think over the next few weeks, people are going to perfect this list. We're going to find the best way to play it, and it's only going to get better from here. But I've told you all about that now, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these builds you think is the best. Tell me how you think about this deck. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Stegaraptor, who's been a supporter of ours for a long time now and is a very lovely person and has helped us out with a bunch of stuff as well. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.